I feel good. Had a pretty good offseason. Tackled some of the things that needed to just kind of continue to keep getting better. Just keep getting stronger and things like that, and kind of adjusting and adapting to the game. Went over some film stuff, swing stuff with Fuller and Showman and all that stuff. So it was good. Good productive off season, and I'm happy to be here and seeing all the new faces that we have.
How different is this campus? How different is this campus compared to like the previous ones heading on into this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just different than the fact, like when I was younger, you're coming in here trying to prove a lot of stuff, but now it's, I'm still trying to prove myself, try to prove myself to the league and trying to prove myself, just to myself of coming in every single day and being the best person and best player that I can be, and have a lot of really good coaches and teammates who bring that out of me. So I'm looking forward to it.
When you reflect on just everything that's happened in the past year, and then you get named the top 100 player by MLB Network, is it kind of crazy just how much you've progressed in that time?
Yeah, especially where it started. It didn't start off the best or exactly where you wanted to be, and sometimes that's just what happens. And had a really good support system, with my family, and then the front office with White Sox. They've always believed in me. They never really doubted me. So even I'm trying to get past it all, but the whole Arizona trip and stuff, it wasn't a doubt thing. It was we do believe in you and we just want to get it right, and it was one of the best things for me.
No way to know, but do you think the success in the second half is related to going back to Arizona? Like, do you feel like you would have been there anyway?
Yeah.
Having success.
Yeah, I mean, in my head, I thought that I would be there sooner.
Yeah.
But, I think it was a lot of, all of that combined of coming here, figuring out some things of what I need to do, like in my drill work and in scouting reports and like self-evaluations after game of, am I getting in the right position? Am I swinging? Am I swinging at the right pitches? And it kind of just came down to just, you have all this stuff that you can look at, with your game and how you swung and things like that. But, if you just kind of bring it all into your top 3 or 4, 5 things that you need to check off, it kind of just, takes out the extra noise. And I felt like that's what me and my hitting coaches did really well.
What did they ask you to do in the off season, and how did you accomplish it?
Yeah, they just they told me to just do more competitive, competitive machine work, high velocity, things like that. I felt like I hit high velocity pretty good, but you can always improve in this game and keep getting better. So that was one of the biggest things, and just from my overall background that I'm a competitor, and so they wanted me to just do a lot more competition stuff, off season kind of, it just makes my intent, a lot higher, like in the cage, other than if you're just doing normal flips and BP, your intent level can kind of get really low. So.
Have you get a chance to talk much to Monet, and what was your reaction when you guys signed him?
I mean, I've talked to him as much as I can, with his translator here. They're both awesome. Everyone here that's with them. He's great, and I think he's a great addition, to this team. A guy who can bring some power, and also just another dude that, he cares. He cares a lot. You definitely see in the WBC how he plays. He wants to win, and you just bring another guy in like that who just really wants to win. It's like contagious.
Have you watched him hit a little bit? And,
yeah.
What do you think of his?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's freakish. He's got the juice and he's got all that stuff, and he's really smart, has really good understanding of his swing and his process, and that's something you can respect.
Colson, can you talk about your defensive progression last year and what are your goals on that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought my defense was pretty good last year. I think it was just me challenging myself and in like my pregame routines and stuff, and me and Jersh and some of the other guys put together a really good routine before the game of what to do and some checklist things. And in the off season, I kind of went in and just kind of continued the same thing. And I feel like defense is, it's an effort thing too, and more of like a mindset thing. So in my head, it's like anything hit my general direction, I'm going to get and I'm going to go after.
What is the biggest difference in you as a defender when you started your professional career to where you're at now?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I always had that kind of instinct, but I just think the more I went up in the levels that your intent has to go higher, because the guys, they hit the ball a lot harder, and the guys Um, they're a lot faster. So I don't know. I just think it's adjusting and adapting to the game.
There's never been a question about your arm. It's just a matter of just smoother approach
Mhm.
to the grounders.
Yeah, I feel like I have a pretty good arm strength. I think another thing that's really big is your internal clock. Like reading how hard the ball was hit to you and reading and doing your scouting on the runner. And that's one of the first things that Jersh tells us. If there's a guy that really gets out of the box well, that you really only have, one or two shuffles and you got to get rid of the ball. So I think that's more what I prioritize is the inner clock, because I feel like if I catch the ball and I get rid of it as soon as I can, it doesn't really matter how hard I have to throw the ball. But obviously that's different if you're like deep in the 6 hole and you have to really, get on one. So that's what I think.
Overall, what's that next step that you want to take in your game?
I mean, I think it's just consistency, just consistently getting better, just with my work and my preparation and just learning the game. I feel like the more I watch the game, the more I feel like I get better, just because you think you see everything in baseball and then there's something that happens that's crazy. And so I think, it's just continuing to adapt and not really be, satisfied, I guess you could say, because I had, a good second half and everything, but, this next year, now they have more scouting on me. They know what I like and what I don't like. So I just gotta keep adapting and, just keep being a competitor.
Fuller said something recently too, where it's about understanding the game more, knowing when to do damage and when to, if there's a guy in third, less than 2 outs, just what to do there.
Game situations. Yeah, and I felt that's what also helped with a lot of my success last year at the end of the year is I was just reading the game. If there was a time where I needed to just get a guy over, get a guy in, that was my one priority. But then, some other times there's where you feel like you have to make things happen. And I feel like that's where I also did a good job of just letting the game come to me and not really trying to do too much. That's kind of when I get, in a bad spot is when I'm trying to do too much. You swing at too much. You swing at the things they want you to swing at.